Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 91 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode we do start season 9 as you can see on screen with the first knockout round of the Europa League. Can we finally beat a team managed by Monsieur Allegri? The last few years it has been Brighton. Today hopefully we will get over the top of a team that he coaches for the first time in 3 years as we do take on Valencia. And we have also made a few transfers here at the club as well, so we will bring those to you guys, and we've also got some injuries and suspensions to run through as well. So it is an action-packed episode. If you are looking forward to it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this Build a Nation save, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well if you haven't done so already. But we are going to start off today's episode by going over to the transfer hub. We have not actually had the transfer window open just yet in Iceland, so very few incomings. We'll get to that later in the episode off the back of this game against Valencia, but we have sold a lot of players, as you can see on screen now. So we have one new player at the club, that is Miguel Monroy. We got him on a free transfer, that's why he was able to join us immediately, as he was a free agent. He's a quite promising potential-wise Spanish left winger, 4.5-star potential, 2-star current ability. Might be a player that we do look to loan out once the domestic transfer does open, but with that potential, felt like it would be a silly idea not to get him involved. But we have sold a lot of players, some players who I wasn't actually looking at selling at the end of the past season, but just in the build up to this one, their potential and current ability have declined quite significantly. So I think we can do improvements on these guys, and that's what we will be looking to do in this upcoming transfer window. And we did also have a little bit of excess in our squad here at Volsungur, so we could afford to sell this many players. So first off, we'll get through some who are a little bit lesser known players who didn't really feature too much for the first team. One of those was Hugo Serpa. He left on a free transfer signed by a pre-contract by Orzo Marzo in Colombia. Pretty sure he didn't actually play for the club. We make our way up a little bit further. Jorge Sola didn't play too much for the first team. He has gone to Amorebieta back in Spain for £80,000. Could rise up to around the £115 mark. We make our way up a little bit further. Serdan Ivkovic, as we discussed at times last season, he signed with a foreign club on a pre-contract, did not get his contract sorted out in time. Philippe West, we signed for a little bit of money a few seasons ago. He has gone for £53,000. That potential didn't hold up, so not a great bit of business there, but wouldn't have got a lot of game time here at the club anyway. The same applies for players like Anunk Argun and Janalo Mano Leonardo Rosero as well. We got a decent amount of money for those free signings, but now we make our way forward to a few players who are a little bit more known here at the club, and the first of those is Pat Ainscough. This was a little bit of an interesting transfer. Not sure if I made the right decision here, because of course we have a few right wingers suspended for this upcoming first leg of this first knockout round tie of the Europa League, but his potential had dropped significantly. Only 3-star goal potential, 2.5-star current potential. I think we can improve on that. He's been overtaken by Zimmerman when we signed him on a fairly good deal during the transfer window last season. So Pat Ainscough, after a good few years here at Volsungur, has left. He has gone to Toronto FC. So the American must have noticed that Canada are bossing the CONCACAF qualifying at the moment, but he leaves for £250,000, should rise up to £300,000. Not bad for a player who we did sign on a free transfer. Then a player who we made a massive loss on. This is Bjorn Boggy Goodness on. He's gone. He was rubbish. Not quite sure why I spent £2.4 million on him. Look at him on paper and his technical skills aren't that bad, but just never really got a crack here in the squad at Volsungur. And with Fabiano Mariano coming through the club, the young Italian striker that we did sign last season, it felt like a good time to let him go. A massive loss there, only getting £24,000 back from FC Eindhoven for that transfer, but we weren't going to play him, and it was better to get some money for him instead of let his contract expire. Going up a little bit further, next up is Christian Sakularak. He left here on loan last season, and we decided to move him on. Had a few really good years when we did improve the squad in the first couple of seasons of the save. His ability and potential isn't really there anymore, and he has gone to FC Thun in his home nation of Switzerland. We got £41,500 for him, and then we make our way up to the two most recent transfers, one which I wasn't really expecting to make, but Samuel Afosu, much like Pat Ainscough, that goal star potential and ability did decrease quite significantly. So we sold him to Paderborn in Germany for £250,000. We actually made a decent profit on that deal because we did sign him for £85,000 only a season or two ago. Did a decent job when he did step in to the first team and for the league team when those European qualifiers and games were going on, but he leaves us a little bit sooner than probably expected. And the last transfer that we have made was for Bakale Samake. He was a player I actually wouldn't have minded keeping after selling Pat Ainscough, but he was getting a bit unsettled here at the club after we loaned him out a few seasons in a row. Of course, we bought Chaka Traore in instead of him as the backup behind Frederick Larsen at the time after selling Sergio Cadena, and we have sold him to Ostende, not the Belgian one, but the one in Mali, his home nation, and he goes there for £93,000. So we've made a slight loss on that transfer. We did do a deal with him and said that anything over £85,000 we would accept an offer over that, and the Malian Ostende did come in above that price. So we have sold Bakare Samaki, which does mean we're a little bit light on wingers at the moment. That is something that we do need to deal with in this upcoming transfer window, albeit it will not help us out in the Europa League because we have already had to register our squad. It does seem like this Europa League this season is starting a little bit sooner, knockout-wise, than it did last season, because if we do go and have a look at our schedule, we have just played the one competitive game since that one against Juventus in yesterday's episode, which if you missed alongside the end of season review, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Just the one deal to Bakar game, and that was a 2-0 win away from home. First half goals to Frederick Larsen, a red card in the second half to Chatzakis, not affecting that result too much, but only the one competitive game going into this first leg of the Europa League knockouts, which is a little bit concerning. The last few seasons we have had a lot more competitive football under our belt than that, usually about 2 or 3 games in the deal to Bakar, but hopefully we can still hit the ground running here at Valencia, the second leg being at our home ground as well. Maybe that is what could save us in this tie, with that little bit of lack of match fitness, which could prove costly against a good team like Valencia. While we're here, we'll have a quick look at these guys. We did check on these guys yesterday. Massimiliano Allegri, as I alluded to earlier, he has knocked us out of European competitions in the last 2 seasons, with Brighton in the Conference League final and in the second knockout round of this competition last year. Left them after they failed to make Europe this season and has joined Valencia. They have made their way up to 5th in the Liga as well since the end of yesterday's episode, and the few months that we have had in between now and then as well. So this will be a tough test for us. Be interesting to see how we do get on against Allegri once again. Hopefully he's happy with 2 out of 3 and we can finally beat him here at Volsungur. Before we do get into this game, we do have a few injuries and suspensions to run through. Both of our box-to-box midfield backups are injured at the moment, so we are relying entirely on Nicolusi Caviglia for that, but he is fit at the moment. Werner Bayer has a torn abdominal muscle, wouldn't have been registered for the squad anyway, but he is out for 3 to 5 weeks. And Nathaniel Satole, the player who came into the club last season and overtook Bayer as the backup box-to-box, he has a groin strain. Nearly back, should be right for the second leg. Not too sure if he'd make his way onto the bench anyway with Malizio Goffi. Very good midfield backup, but he is out for a further 1 to 6 days with that as well. So we're a little bit light on box-to-box midfield options, and we are also quite light in terms of the right wing. As you would have been able to tell by those transfers made, we did sell 2 right wingers in Samake and Ainscough, and for this first game, if we make our way down a little bit, Patrick Nygaard and Zimmerman are both suspended, as is Ian Carlo. So we are dealing with a few suspensions for this first game. Luckily, Frederick Larsen can cover right wing, so we're not going to miss too much out on the right wing. Milos Petrovic comes in at right back for Ian Carlo as well. Of course, he was in our team of the season for last year, so we might not miss too much there either. So despite those suspensions and injuries, don't think we have too bad a squad for this first game of the Europa League knockouts. Everyone else there from the end of last season, and we will come back shortly for our first leg of the first knockout round from Valencia as we finally try and get the better of Massimiliano Allegri. And here are the team sheets for the first leg of the Europa League tie. There is the Valencia team, a 4-4-2 there for Allegri team, looking very similar to what we went through before. There is our team. We have actually made quite a few changes on the bench. Dedic, Bjarkason, Mariano, Martins and Garrido, all new additions to that bench, and hopefully we can pick up a decent result here to take into the home league. And we do have a highlight immediately from the kickoff in this one. We are in position in our green uniform, Valencia in the white and black at home, which is interesting. Thought their home uniform was red and yellow. Might be wrong about that, but we are in position nice and early in this one. And Frederick Larsson down the right-hand side today. Can he produce a bit of magic? Nice, decent chance there for Rubio, albeit from a tight angle. Forces a decent save that out of Aaron Ramsdale. And we'll just see what happens from the subsequent corner. But a promising start here. Duplisco gets his head on the end of that, but over the bar. And it remains 0-0 after 1 minute. Although straight off the back of that, we are down the other end here for a free kick to Valencia. Guedes tries to put that in the top left corner, but high, and it remains 0-0. Chance for both teams after 3 minutes. And up to the 15-minute mark, it's a corner here for Valencia. They go far post. Satalo gets his head on the end of that, comes off the woodwork out for a goal kick. Still 0-0 here in a pretty even game. And up to the 20-minute mark, we are on the attack. Chaka Traore nearly gets beyond the defence. He will actually scramble quite well to get the ball back for us there, and we are still on the attack here. Nicolosi will try crank that into the top right corner. Larsson takes it out for a goal kick, but a good hand on that from Ramsdale to keep it at 0-0. And up to the 24-minute mark, back down the other end here for a corner to Valencia. Bayok gets his head on the end of that over the bar. Again, a very topsy-turvy half, but it remains 0-0. And that is half-time in the first leg of this first knockout round of the Europa League, doing a decent job away from home Valencia with more shots, but pretty even with everything else in this game apart from possession. We are doing decently, both shots on target and XG, a few good chances for both teams in the highlights that we did see, but fairly happy with how things are going. Thiago Paulo has picked up a yellow card. Not too sure what impact that might have on the second leg. He might be missing for that one, but we do still have Gabriel Corbo who could fill in for him if that is the case. But fairly happy with how things are going, despite being slightly dominated so far in this game. 0-0 halfway through the away leg. And we have a highlight yet again immediately from the kickoff in the second half, and Valencia this time will try and get a good early chance away, and they play a nice ball over the top there for Guedes. What can he do? Takes it out on the right hand side of the box, plays it back for Valentino. Ball in there at the far post. Biot gets his head on the end of that. Never really looked like going in the back of the net, but did come off the woodwork, and it still remains 0-0, approaching the 50-minute mark. And just past the 50-minute mark, we do look to play out from the back. It's a poor clearance that, though, from Thiago Paulo, and Valencia are on the attack yet again. Their right winger squares that nicely for Guillermo. That is a massive miss from Valencia. Should really be 1-0 up, but it remains 0-0. Now up to the 55-minute mark, Valencia are in possession, playing out from the back. We have switched to a positive mentality just to see if that helps us get a little bit more position here in the second half. Another good chance here, though, for Guillermo. This time hits it straight at Sierra Fellaini. A few good chances there for the Valencia striker, but it does remain 0-0 at the 55-minute mark. And up to the 58-minute mark, we are going to make our first substitution here of this game. We have Frederick Larsson on a red card. Of course, I think that's because he did play in that Bakar game as well as this one. Most of the first team players did not play in that one, with that issue that we did have with right wingers. Completely forgot about that, both when doing the transfers and when selecting a team for that first game of the competitive season. Looking at the bench, not too many right wing options, but Fabio Mariano, our young backup striker, is also pretty decent out there. I think we will leave Rubio up front for now, but that is our first sub used, still 0-0 with just over a half hour left. And up to the 62-minute mark now, we are going to make our next substitution. This one a little bit more clear-cut with the options that we do have available on the bench. Of course, having started both of our left wingers for this one, Bjarkason can come on for Chaka Traore on a 6.2 rating. Still 0-0 inside the last half hour. And only a few minutes off the back of that second substitution, we do have a corner. Mariano gets his head on the end of that. Paulo just puts that over the bar. A few highlights like that in this game so far, and it is still 0-0. Up to the 79-minute mark now, we have gone back to a balanced mentality, just not quite performing as well as we are capable of, but a 0-0 draw away from home here would not be a bad result. Mariano on the edge of the box, looking like the absolute midget that he is, about 1.57 meters tall, so he is not a tall lad, but very skillful, lots of potential, and we'll see what happens here after the clearance was won in the air by Thiago Paulo. Bjarkason makes his way down the left-hand side, tries to play that back in for Mazer, but does receive it back. Will he take the shot on himself? He does, but is straight at Aaron Ramsdale. It remains 0-0, and we are going to make our last substitution off the back of that highlight as well. You can see Duplisco at the back there, down to a red heart. I think it might be quite useful just to freshen up that defence to make sure that we do hold on here for the 0-0 results. Jordan Dedic can come on. He is a good, promising centre-back. We actually signed last season, has 2.5-star current ability, a fair bit of potential. So a ready-made placement for Afosu. Let's see what he can do in these last 8 minutes. Still 0-0. Only a few minutes off the back of that last substitution. Good free kick here for Rubio. Can he steal a 1-0 result for us just on the edge of the box? And he nearly puts that into the top right corner. Still 0-0 with 5 minutes left. And there's full time in this one. In the end, not a bad result. There were a lot of highlights there for both teams, but no one could put the ball in the back of the net. And with Valencia's superior match fitness that they should have over us at this stage of the season, I think that result is actually more in our favour, especially with that game being played away from home. Hopefully, we can turn on the style a little bit more in the second leg of this one, especially with the players that we should be getting back from suspension as well. In the end, it worked out being a fairly even game on everything except for possession, and somehow we come away with a 0-0 draw, and we'll come back shortly, run you guys through the team sheets for the second leg with all to play for back in Iceland. And here are the team sheets for the second leg in Iceland. We are very close to full strength for this one. Just the one change, Thiago Polo indeed was suspended for that yellow card. So Dedic remains on the bench and Corbo gets a start in his place. But otherwise, back to full strength in every other area. Valencia looking pretty similar to what they put out there in the first leg, I believe. And hopefully, we can finally beat Allegri here in Iceland to make our way through to the second knockout round. And all the way forward to the 32-minute mark for our first highlight of this game, a free kick to Valencia, but we do get on the end of it, and Patrick Nygaard back in the team, makes his way down the right-hand side, tries to play a ball in there for Benjamin Rubio, can't quite reach him. Valencia looked like they were trying to get something going there on the counter-attack, but a good interception there from Duplisco, and we are back on the attack. Galtason already picking up a yellow card fairly early in this one after 5 minutes, but that is really the only notable thing that has happened so far in this first half. It has been very quiet. Surprised no one's got a goal so far in this tie, especially with all the chances in that first leg. But we are now on the attack. Arnason just outside the box. Nice ball there for Patrick Nygaard. Decent save at the near post there from Ramsdale. He was onside as well, so it would have counted. Still 0-0 here with 10 minutes to go in the first half of the second leg. And just that one highlight in that first half of the second leg. It's been a very quiet one so far. Still locked up at 0-0, albeit I think this time we are slightly edging things. We did play that first half with a positive mentality here, being back at home. Both of our shots on target, Valencia's have not been, so I suppose that means things are in our favour after that first half, but nothing in it with only 45 minutes left of this first knockout round tie. And up to the 59-minute mark, just that one highlight in the second leg so far. We're going to make our first substitution, Chaka on a 6-point free, so Frederick Larsson to come on for him. And up to the 63-minute mark, we finally have another highlight in this game as we do look to play out from the back. We don't mind if there's not many highlights as long as they are in our favour, albeit a good slide tackle there from Garcia. It's a great chance here for Guillermo. Puts it wide. He was onside. He's missed some great chances in this tie so far. Still 0-0 inside the last half hour. And up to the 73-minute mark, we are going to make our second substitution. Arnason down to a red heart. Malesio Goffi to come on for him. And up to the 82-minute mark, still a very quiet second leg this one, but we are going to make our last substitution here. Patrick Nygaard, among others, down to a red heart. I think of the options on the bench, our best one in terms of backup is Zimmerman, so he can come on for Nygaard. Still locked up here at 0-0 inside the last 10 minutes. And up to the 86-minute mark, we have a late highlight in this one, and we are on the attack. Can we keep the ball? It's a poor pass that from Galtason, and Guillermo gets another great chance here to give Valencia the win. Tries to chip it, but too much depth on it. Boy, he's missed some chances across both legs of this one, and we are now into injury time of this game. We might be making our way through to extra time because Valencia not able to hit the target so far in the second leg. They've had less shots than us, but at least ours have been on target. So as long as we can keep doing what we're doing, I think we will be fine here, but we are heading into extra time. still locked up at 0-0 after 180 minutes. Up to the 102-minute mark, first highlight here of extra time, and Benjamin Rubio gets pushed in the back. We have a great chance here from the penalty spot, not looking to make any more substitutions just because the options left on the bench not that great at penalties compared to the players already out there, but this would be a great chance. There's been very few chances in this game as golden as this one. Benjamin Rubio to try and put us ahead, and he does, just gets that past the goalkeeper. Too much power for Aaron Ramsdale. He gets his first goal of the season. Of course, hasn't been much of a season so far. We will slow the tempo down. We did go to a higher tempo late in that second half, but that is a big moment there in extra time. A push in the back from a long throw on that from Frederick Larsson. Benjamin Rubio tucks away the penalty. 1-0 Volsungur, 3 minutes shy of half time of extra time. And up to the 113-minute mark now, we only have 7 minutes left to try and hold on to this 1-0 lead, and we are on the attack. Frederick Larsson gets up, and we are now up forward to Zimmerman inside the box. Can he square this? Nicolosi with a shot. It comes off the upright. Somehow we don't get that in the back of the net. Still on the attack, though. What will Gelterson do here? Back for Goffey, and that is straight at Ramsdale. Great chance there to make it 2-0, but it does remain 1-0 with only 5 minutes left, and not too long off the back of that. Another highlight maybe. It's going to be a late flurry of them in this game because the second leg up until then has been very quiet on the attack. Nicely here, Goffey, great chance, one-on-one with Ramsdale, but hits it straight at him, and it is still 1-0, but this highlight does continue, and Guillermo nearly gets in position there. Thankfully, Ian Carlo does tidy things up. Rubio, lovely ball that for Frederick Larsson. Can he tuck this away? Another good save that from Aaron Ramsdale, and it's still 1-0 with only 4 minutes left, but we are certainly looking the more threatening team here so far in the second half of extra time. We try and pick out Corbo there from the corner. Can't. Guillermo gets on the ball. He's been a bit iffy so far in this tie, it's fair to say. Certainly has had a few good chances, but we do nullify that attack, and it does remain 1-0 with only 3 minutes left. And another highlight here at the 117-minute mark. Ian Carlo does intercept that free kick by Valencia, and we are on the attack yet again. Zimmerman gets inside the box. Can we seal it? Takes on the shot from a tight angle into the side netting. Only 2 minutes left and still 1-0. Just wait and see what else happens here in extra time. Only 1 minute left. It is a throw-in. We do keep possession from it though. Can we create one more chance to try and get a cushion goal, or will it be Valencia breaking our hearts? Very similar to what Barcelona did in the group stage of the Champions League. Zimmerman nearly giving away possession there, much like Ian Carlo did in that game, but we do get it back. Frederick Larsson puts that ball in towards Zimmerman at the far post, but Valencia do head it clear, and now we wait and see what they do inside these last 40 seconds. They hoof it deep, but that is very safe for Gabriel Corbo to tidy up, and will we finally beat Massimiliano Allegri here in a knockout tie of Europe? Can Goffey seal it? Doesn't quite have the pace here, but Zimmerman from a tight angle, can he tuck it away? His shot straight at Aaron Ramsdale, but we now only have 10 seconds left of extra time. This would feel very harsh if Valencia did pinch it, because this extra time period, at least, we have been all over them. Goffey gets up to Rubio, and that is full time. It took until extra time to get a goal in those 180 minutes plus extra of football, but eventually from the penalty spot, Benjamin Rubio tucks one away, and finally we do beat Massimiliano Allegri 1-0 after extra time here in the first knockout round of the Europa League. And before we do get into the draw for the second knockout round of the Europa League, first off, we're going to tidy up the transfer business that has happened now that the domestic window has opened. We have made 2 more sales, both to clubs within Iceland, albeit players who very rarely actually featured for the first team. Almedi Ben Musa does go to HK, and the other player is Ingipor Asgirson, who was in our under-18s. He does go to field care, but we have added 3 players to the squad now. One of these transfers, the money says it came out this season, actually came out a few seasons ago, because we did sign him back when he was 16 years old. In Colombia, we only spent 1.5 million up front, so there's still 1.5 million of this deal in add-ons, and that might not happen because, truth be told, Gabriel Zapata doesn't actually look that great in terms of goal star potential back compared to when we did sign him as a 16-year-old, but another centre-back coming to the club to help replace players like Samuel Afosu. He does look quite promising for 18 years old, 2-star current ability and he will be spending his first season here at the club, at least in that under-19 squad. After that, we will see how he does develop, but we did only spend 1.5 million up front for him, and that did happen a few seasons ago. He comes in having spent his time so far at La Equidad, but that transfer listed is happening this season, but didn't really come out of our transfer budget this season, so kind of ignore the fee in terms of that one, in terms of what we have spent this current season. The other players who have joined us, one of them is Charlie Shaw. He is an English midfielder who joins on a free transfer, 2.5-star current ability, 4-star goal potential, 5-star white potential. He has spent time at Liverpool so far in his career, looks fairly promising, so we snapped him up on a free transfer. He is a player who might float in terms of being quite a bit of a fringe player, or one who we might look to loan out depending on how things go at the start of the season here at Volsungur and what offers we do get in for other players. And then we did sign an out-and-out centre-back replacement for Samuel Afosu, and just in case we do get some interest in someone like Gabriel Corbo as well, now that he is turning around 30 years old, not too far off that is our Italian defender. This is Ali Ramadan. He was a player who I did consider bringing to the club last season. He very much looks in the mould of Xavier Mbiyamba. He is from Congo, just like Mbiyamba, and he has 3-star current ability, 4-star potential, 21 years old already, has 25 caps for his nation and 1 goal, 15 heading, 14 jumping reach. Very well-rounded ball-playing defender is Ali Ramadan, but these players cannot play for us in the Europa League, so you will not see them until the start of the next European season, or until we get knocked out of European football and get to play a few more domestic games on camera. But that does wrap up our transfer business for today's episode. We are still looking for an improved right back and goalkeeper here at the club. Those were the areas we were looking for, but it has been quite hard to find someone interested in coming here and who are improvements over both Ian Carlo and Mikel Serafalini. We do still have a transfer budget available of £8.61 million with all those sales that we have made at the club, as well as £70,000 of wage budget as well. But it's time for us to get into the second knockout round draw for the Europa League. All those teams who we saw in yesterday's episode that top their group are the teams that we can get drawn against. So we will see what happens in this draw. The first team out, Real Sociedad, they get drawn against Napoli. So I think this first team being drawn out here are teams who do come out of that first knockout round. Marseille will take on Villarreal. Next up, Lyon, they take on Red Bull Salzburg. Nice are next, and they will be playing Sporting of Portugal. Next out of the hat is going to be us. Right, who can we actually get? There is Liverpool left. Thankfully, though, we get Bayer Leverkusen. We certainly could have got a harder tie than that with teams like Liverpool left in the hat, but Bayer Leverkusen, not too bad at all. At least we do avoid Liverpool. They were looking like the big team left on that top-ranked side of teams for that second knockout round draw there in the Europa League. But in tomorrow's episode, we will be taking on Bayer Leverkusen from the Bundesliga. Currently find themselves in 5th position on the table. They are just behind teams like Freiburg, so that's probably actually quite a good draw considering Freiburg also in the Europa League draw on that side for that one, a team who we could have ended up against. So we might have actually got one of the better options of those left alongside potentially Newcastle, albeit Newcastle would have had a lot of money invested to them at this stage of the save by now. So I think the other teams that were left when we did have that draw, Bayer Leverkusen might be quite a kind one, but they are just outside the Champions League spots in the Bundesliga, behind the teams that you would expect, as well as Freiburg, who seem to be quite good in this save. And if we have a look at the club themselves, they are 4-star reputation. They have Julado Sione as their manager. They got some decent players in their team, the likes of Storloff, Bergwijn, Tapsoba, and Timo Horn in goal as well. So a few more familiar players in their squad than we just did see at Valencia. But if we did beat Valencia, a team of higher reputation, I do believe we might be in with a chance here against Bayer Leverkusen in tomorrow's episode, even though they are past winners of this Europa League, albeit quite a while ago, a year before I was born in real life. So it has been a long time in the Save universe. 41 years now it has been since Bayer Leverkusen did lift up the Europa League. But that is what's coming up in tomorrow's episode, as well as probably a few more transfers. If you did enjoy today's one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up, on the video. And if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this Build a Nation save here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow for the second knockout round of the Europa League against Bayer Leverkusen, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.